Is it Karen? Is it not?
I'm not sure what's going on here. I need to do
Like it's not.
So can we close? Just right click that one and then close. And then hopefully that one.
This is real wood. This is not. It's weird. This is made. Real wood. Not real wood.
Can I still do this?
Sure. No, this is aluminum.
I know, but this is real. This and this is real.
Let's close these.
What? I'm telling you,
Chris, we have a card for you to sign after you get plugged in.
What? And then
We have a card.
we'll just click cancel here instead of restore. That work? Okay, there you go.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Here we go again.
How are you?
That's pretty awesome.
No.
No, absolutely not.
And the helicopter down there too. I was surprised to see that.
All right, finally I'm ready. Sorry about that. I will call this meeting to order. It is 7:32. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is roll call, please.
Mayor Jerry Wickham,
Here.
Vice Mayor Jacqueline Wells,
Here.
Councilmember Aaron Durst,
Here.
Councilmember Darrell Gardner,
Here.
Councilmember Davari Martinez,
Here.
Councilmember Linda Smith,
Here,
Councilmember Chris Weisenberg.
Here.
Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is to approve the agenda. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approve the August 2nd, 2022 City Council agenda as presented.
second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the August 2nd, 2022 City Council agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Councilman Durst?
I would like to have, I'm not sure where to put it, I would like to add an agenda item for discussion about the water that's outside of city limits, on how we're doing it, what should be normal.
Make a motion.
Mayor, could I suggest we also have that under maybe city manager's report?
Okay, because
Or
I'm not
council
looking for an action
direction?
item, I'm just looking for a moment to discuss, so I
Or
wasn't sure what
council
the best place to
direction.
put it was.
That could probably be under council direction.
Okay, so we can just bring that up without
At
a
that time.
change. Okay, then I
Okay,
have nothing for.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Aye.
Yes.
Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, thank you. Next thing on our agenda is to approve the minutes of July 19th. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approve the City Council regular meeting minutes of July 19th, 2022 as presented.
Second. There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the City Council regular meeting minutes of July 19th, 2022 as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
I vote yes.
Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is to approve minutes of July 26th. Councilman Smith.
I move to approve the City Council special meeting minutes of July 26, 2022 as presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the City Council special meeting minutes of July 26, 2022 as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
I vote yes.
Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 6 yeas and 1 abstain. Vice Mayor Wells abstained.
All right, thank you. At this time, I will open a public hearing. It's a resolution to accept the $739,792.74 in American Rescue Plan Act funding from the federal government passed through the state of Wyoming. Is there anybody here that would like to speak on that subject? Seeing none, I will close that public hearing. The next thing on our agenda is public comment. This is a time that we have for citizens' participation, and you have up to 5 minutes to speak on anything that is not on the agenda presently. And is there anybody here that would like to speak? Please come forward. Tell us go to the podium, tell us your name and
Hi, Brandon Snyder.
hi.
I'm here as a parent of a baseball player as well as a Little League coach, and I anticipate within the next few months you'll probably be seeing in front of you some proposals for some upgrades and some repairs to the Little League fields and the baseball fields here. We're working with Jason from the Parks and Recreation Department for some improvements that are sorely needed. We have the opportunity to host the 2026 Little League District Tournament, but as of right now, our fields are not in the condition that we would be able to do that. So we're working with Jason. We're also going to work with the Recreation Advisory Board to bring some proposals to you for some repairs, upgrades, and things like that. And so I would ask that when those come before you, please give them serious consideration and please support them. I would also, just give you a little bit of background why I think it's important that you support them. Rawlins Little League has been building something pretty special for a little while now. It's been a long, tough road. The last time Rawlins Little League won a game at the district tournament, that's where we compete against Laramie, Gillette, Douglas, Casper, Wheatland. Did I say Douglas already? The last time Rawlins won a game was in 2010, so 12 years ago. It was 2017 was the first time since then that we weren't mercy ruled. We actually got to play a full 6-inning game. The last 3 times we've gone to the district tournament, we've been able to be competitive in the majority of our games. A couple of games, one against Laramie, one against Gillette, it wasn't pretty. The other games we've been competitive. So we're building. It's taking time. Unfortunately, again, we haven't been able to get that win, but we're hoping that comes soon. We've got a great Little League board right now that is working really hard to give us the organization the things they need. They're willing to spend the time, money, effort to get that done. We've got a great group of coaches and volunteers that are working really hard to improve the baseball in Rawlins. The parents are really supportive of all of this. They have, I'm sorry, am I going over my time limit?
No, keep going.
I wanted to make sure.
I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you. We added a senior league program this year, and the parents had to drive, or families had to drive their children to Casper twice a week so that we could get games in. So they're very dedicated. The all-star teams had to travel a lot as well in preparation for the all-star tournament. We were able to take 2 teams to the all-star tournament this year, a minors team, which is 8 to 10, and a majors team, which is 10 to 12. And so we've got some real dedication there, but what it's really about is the kids. We've got a really talented group of kids right now, and those kids put in a lot of work. In preparation for our All-Star tournament for the majors, which is what I coach, from July 3rd until we were done at the tournament, we had 1 day off. Those kids, we were either playing games or we were at practice or we were traveling to Gillette. And so those kids really, and their parents and families really put in a lot of work. And so there's something special going on, and the state and the district is starting to notice. Again, we haven't gotten there yet, but at this point, we need your help. We need to improve our facilities. I mean, having the tournament at home would really be a huge competitive advantage for us. Those kids can sleep in their own bed. They're not having to travel. There's a lot of work to be done. I would just ask for your support when that comes before you. Again, we'll work through the proper channels, but please, please, please support these kids. Invest in them. They've worked for it and they deserve it. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate hearing that, and I appreciate all your hard work, because I know the parents work as hard as the kids do, and we will do what we can and keep working with Jason. He's incredible, and we'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Is there anybody else? I saw another hand. Please come forward and tell us who you are. And
good evening to the chambers. I'm Ben Hinman. I am a volunteer with Rawlins Little League. Some of you may recognize me from probably about 6 years ago. I came in these chambers and expressed my concerns for the VFW fields. I'm here to help support Brandon and the VFW in the Little League's plans to try to host this tournament. One of the things I brought with me is our pledge. As volunteers, we give a pledge that we're going to do the right things for our program, and the Little League program asks us to pass that on to you. So I'll read it out. I will coach all children to play fair and do their best. I will positively support all managers, coaches, and players. I will respect the decisions of the umpire. I will praise good effort despite the outcome of the game. And with that being said, I see that every day down at the ballpark. I've been with the program for probably about 15 years now. I've served in capacities as a manager, a coach, the president of the league, and now I am an umpire. And I'm seeing the progression of our league. As Brandon suggested, our league is getting better. What we need from you guys is the investment into the fields. I personally have probably spent 3 or 4 months out of every summer down at the ballpark with taking care of the field maintenance, plumbing, mowing lawns. That's my personal investment into it. And I can give you probably 3 or 4 other names of people that have invested their time also. I'd ask this board to, next year when you get an opportunity, come on down to our opening day ceremony. You'll see what we got going on. And it's really good things. What we need from the board is to invest money into those fields. They've met their longevity. When I went to regionals, their meeting as a president 3 years ago, they said the last time that Rawlins hosted a tournament was 1998. That was the last time we hosted. And that process, every year they ask a group of communities who can come up. And you have a 4-year plan. Every 4 years, you're basically coming up. And so it's been since 97, 98 since we've hosted a tournament. I think we can do better for our kids. There's money that comes with that. Brandon already told you there's 6 other teams that come into town. Most of them have 2 other teams. You know, that's 12 players times 2 with parents. It's quite a few people that are filling our spaces. So I think the investment is good for the community. It'll bring money and we'll invest in our kids. We're building good things. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I just want to ask a question.
Yes, Councilman Weisenberg has a question.
Yeah, Brandon and Ben, real quick, you had mentioned working with the rec board. Are you just looking at some grant opportunities with them to help out with some of this stuff too? Is that what you're working with there?
Well, the recreation board where we get grants, we have some grants pending with them, but also the advisory board, which as I understand.
Okay, the new advisory board.
Yes, the new
Okay.
board that brings recommendations to the.
Okay. Have you guys, are you looking into the rec board also that way too for grants and opportunities that way?
Yeah.
For funding?
In fact, right now, I think we have some grants that I just found out about in the discussions for some new backstops.
Okay.
And also maybe for some dugouts. So we're working on running some of that down. So there is some money available out there that way too. So.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Good evening, I'm Tanya Lumen. I just had a few concerns to go over. I know that we're fining for the water now. I do hope that the fining is done fairly and without discrimination or favoritism. I would like to see maybe a report on the number of fines that are given out per ward, kind of see where that is happening. Give the city council an opportunity to talk to their constituents if they're the bad players, or see which areas they're not getting the message. Also would like to speak on the difference between politicians versus public servants. I did see that the city council had a truck float for the parade, which I think is a great idea, except for those running for office. I don't feel that my tax dollars should go towards your campaign. So that's just my thought. I think it's a great idea, especially in those years when nobody's running, for people to get to know who their city council is. But when there's elections, you should do your own. The job of city council is a job. It isn't a job. You don't do it for the pay. You do it because it's your duty. Another thing in listening, because unfortunately I haven't been able to go to a whole lot of meetings. My work, needless to say, at Sinclair has been very overwhelming. But in listening to many of the meetings, I could suggest that some of the council members write a book, and then that way when they want to say a story over and over again, they can say, just see page 14. And then maybe your city council meetings will be a lot shorter. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak during this time? Hearing none, we'll go on to the next thing on the agenda, and that is the presentation of the Community Builder Award. So I will turn the floor over to the group of people that do that.
Honorable Mayor and Council, and can I ask if there's any members of the volunteer committee to join us? No, Mara's here. All right, I'm going to go through a few things here. I hope you brought your sleeping bag. Just kidding. Won't be too long. So as we know, the Community Builder Award is a monthly award the city presents to local businesses, organizations, and individuals for their volunteer service, sponsorship, promotion of programs and events, outstanding service in the interest of the city, and for other contributions significant to Rawlins' quality of life. So our volunteer committee for August 2022 voted unanimously to nominate and award Damian Sesko for his outstanding service and contributions to our community. And I want to quote Damian a couple of quotes here real quick. He says, as far as what does he appreciate about Rawlins? And he says, first and foremost is the people. And we heard that at our town hall meeting when we were talking about the why Rawlins. People was a big part of that as well. He says they are family and friends. He also added that there are some incredibly influential and intelligent people in our community with amazing knowledge that are always willing to help when they can. I like those quotes, Damien, and here's where I'm going to try to get through this real quick, because he does a lot of volunteering for this community. He's the president for the Rawlins Music Academy. He's the chair of the Mars Committee for Rawlins DDA. He attends and contributes to the Community Resource Committee. He helps plan the Latino Heritage Celebration, Summerfest, and various other events locally. He helps fundraise for many local nonprofits and charities. He's a lead motorcycle instructor for the Wyoming Motorcycle Safety Program and has been a part of that for 11 years. He offers lessons on clarinet, alto sax, and tenor sax to kiddos via the Music Academy. He also lends his musical talents to National Night Out this afternoon at Bolton Park. Thank you for that. He has an instrument program that he started that helps get instruments into the hands of kids who can't afford them. He also funds a scholarship program for kids that can't afford music lessons. He assists in the local music programs in the schools in multiple capabilities, from playing and helping sections with their music. He has been an attendee of the Leadership Carbon County to help learn more about what makes our county click. He was awarded the Give a Note Award from the Wyoming Music Educators Association in 2021. He won Volunteer of the Year from Carbon County Chamber of Commerce in 2020 and 2021. And finally, and this isn't probably, I could keep going and flip the page, but he is presently working on a local nonprofit information hub to help find volunteers assistance with our local group. So you were one of the first community members I met when I moved into town, and I think we had lunch at Buck's, and it's like I've run into this guy wherever I go ever since then. But you're very awarding of this award, Damien, and congratulations.
I'm so photogenic, I apologize. If I could do something about the face, I would.
Damien, thank you.
Thank you, Damien.
Definitely, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know that there's been a lot of gruff about the water situation. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job given the situation, so keep it up. I know it's ugly, but we get there.
Thank you for that, too. All right. Next thing on our agenda is DDA Main Street and the Hub Report. Is Pam here?
Pam reached out to Sean and I and let us know that she wasn't able to attend. So she felt that they did that really nice update last week.
Okay. Then we will move on to city manager and staff reports.
Thank you. I have a few updates for you tonight. Myra has been taking the lead on getting an update on our water. If you probably saw a text from me on that, but for community members, if you just go to our main webpage, there's a spot front and center that says News Flash, and you'll be able to see all the updates that we have to our water system and what we're doing. Just by way of update, the water rate study, a lot of progress is being made on that right now. We actually have a rough draft of what the rates could look like at this point. So we do plan to, the contractor is now going to put kind of a narrative together so that he can interpret, all that data that he sent over in a more easily understandable presentation, and then we're going to review all of that together, make sure there aren't any hiccups, and then I've already visited with Lynn, and we're going to put a work session for if it's okay with council, the first meeting next month to do a work session on the water rates. On the 6th, yeah. We will be sending out the behind the scenes very soon. It'll be sometime this week. The city council at last meeting asked me to reach out to the county attorney regarding when someone has to do pay a fine, instead of them doing a fine, they can do the community service hours. And I visited with her. She actually seemed really optimistic about us participating with them on that. So we have a meeting again on August 8th, and that's our normal city-county collaboration meeting. And then she'll come to that and we can discuss how we can move forward with it potentially. So that was good. One of the questions that was brought up just last week is special event applications. I know this one was Councilmember Durst's question, and maybe in the next section here, if you want to give any feedback, if we need to make some change in our application, we could do that. So the process right now, whenever we have a special event, is all the department heads go and they'll sign off if they approve it. And the question that I have for council is, should we have that come to council every time that we mark that off and approve it, just so the council has the final approval? Like, for example, when we need to shut down a street for some parade or different sort of thing, or would you like the staff to just manage that? And either way could work fine, I think. And then another question that had come up is, should we put it as part of our process? Should we notify businesses, or maybe have whoever's applying, say it's the county parade, for example, we could put in there that maybe it's their responsibility to notify businesses that this is going to impact business owners, and to notify each of them. So just if I could get some feedback in the next section, that would be great. I reached out to the BLM. Our source water protection plan, one of the pieces in that is that we need to protect our water from future mining or other things that can be developed in our main water area. So they have a resource management plan. They actually sent me a bunch of information the last time. I guess this probably was before me, that the city had worked with them to kind of move that process along and try and change that plan. So they sent me all the information, and that's going to help a lot. And then we're going to set up another meeting with them to move that forward. And then what we have to do is actually send a letter to them stating this is specifically what we want protection from in your plan. And we're going to kind of get our ducks in a row, then we'll go to them and work on that plan with the BLM. So I think that's good, making some progress there. I also reached out to the Wyoming Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, Tom Kropatch. He said that I asked him, do you guys have a plan just like the BLM has, where we can go in and have that protection with our water source? And he said that what they could do wasn't necessarily that, where we can say you can never touch this for any mining or other sort of use, but they can overlay our GIS map with their GIS map, and then anytime someone comes to get a permit to do some stuff in our area, then they would see, oh no, this is Rawlins water source, like that's not going to work. So I'll keep working with them to see how I can move that forward to whatever protection we can get. I want to get it for the city. I also reached out because I was curious about just the status of the Blm Barracks. I know that had kind of got off the table, but I just wanted to see. And Jason Gay is the person in charge of that now. He told me that they're looking at a different site, and I don't know the specific details. But I just let him know that we're really happy to help them through any process, because he was saying if they go to a different site, they're going to need our water to be connected to their services and whatnot. But I just told him we're really happy to help them to move forward in whatever way they decide. And then lastly, we have, if you remember, Cody had mentioned that he wanted to do a work session regarding our sewer lines, and there's a provider that can come in and take a look and tell us exactly which lines need to be replaced, it just gives us a comprehensive look at our assets. And he's with us tonight. It's R.H. Borden. Yes, please, thank you. So if we could give him just a few minutes, that would be great.
Yep.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, I'd like to introduce to you Quinn Peterson of RH Borden. It is a company that will potentially help us to work toward a capital improvement program where we can know what our sewers look like, do an inventory on our sewer lines to understand where we have weaknesses, to understand where we have cleaning that needs to be done. And it's non-invasive. It's a relatively low-cost solution that helps us to focus our dollars in a more intelligent way and a data-driven way. And the beauty of it is that when they go do the sounding of our sewer lines, they can give us the information that can tie into our GIS system. And so it becomes a layer that we own that belongs to the city. So with that, I'd just like to present to you Quinn, and he has a few things here. May I approach?
Sure.
Okay, great. Pardon.
Thanks so much. So we've been talking with Cody. We're doing the process that it's being handed out to you right now in Cheyenne. We've got 2 teams in Cheyenne doing this today. We're also probably going to be going with Laramie next summer as well. And I think Cody just wanted to let you get an opportunity to ask questions about this and to have me give you just a brief overview of what this process entails. So there's a new tool, there's a lot of new tools out there that are changing the way we're doing water and wastewater. Our tool is just about wastewater. And we've developed this method of using sound to quickly and inexpensively tell us what's going on inside the sewer pipes. So right now the way sewer pipes are treated, we put a camera in and we get about 2,000 feet of footage a day that then has to be watched. We'll also put a big hose in the pipe and it'll shoot out all of the stuff that's in that pipe. And that also is about 2,000, 3,000 feet of treatment a day. With this sound system, we'll use audible sound. It's like when you get your hearing tested at the audiologist. It's that same thing. But it's over and over again. And those go through the pipes. And we can get about 20,000 feet of data a day. So what that translates into is here in Rawlins, we would be able to assess every single pipe in the system over the course of about 3.5 weeks. We then give you that data on, as I mentioned, a GIS dashboard. Every pipe gets a score from 0 to 10. Cody's and Mike and the team are able to then look at it and say, okay, we have 12 pipes that are zeros, and we need to get to those right away. We have this many 1s, this many 2s, and this many 8, 9s, and 10s. The beautiful thing about the 8, 9s, and 10s is you don't have to do anything with those. They're fine. And without having to watch video or put cameras in the pipes or do anything else, we can say, don't worry about these this year. They're fine. Go worry about other stuff. And there isn't a city in our service area, which is 6 states, that can't use their resources somewhere else. So this has been growing really fast. We're adding a customer a week in Colorado and Wyoming, and about 4 customers a week across the 6 states that we're in, because this new technology just really improves the efficiency of the system. It's going to save your crew's time. It's going to save water, because it takes about 2 gallons of water to clean a foot of pipe. And what we'll be doing is we'll probably be taking about 75% of the pipes off of that list of pipes that need to be cleaned, because most of them are already clean. So we won't be wasting water cleaning clean pipes. We won't be wasting time or the diesel fuel that it takes to clean pipes. So that's a brief overview. Do you have any questions? This handout kind of shows a few facts about it and then how the actual system works, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Yeah.
Councilman Durst.
So does your system check the integrity of the pipe, or just if there's a physical blockage or not?
What this is doing is it's telling us how much capacity is in that pipe. So if a pipe has roots in it, that reduces the amount of capacity by a certain number, and that's what these numbers are. So a 0 means that pipe is completely full of something. It doesn't tell us what, but it tells us between this manhole and this manhole, you have something going on and you need to figure out what it is. And also between this manhole, everything's fine. You don't need to worry about it. So what this does is it does not replace camera work and it doesn't replace the cleaning, but what it does is tell us where to go camera and where to go clean.
Sure, but I mean, does it check the integrity of the pipe at all, or is this just looking for physical obstruction?
This is just looking for, we're going to break apart the integrity of the pipe from the capacity of the pipe. So the pipes are there to get the sewage from the houses to the plant. And a broken pipe can actually do that. There are a number of ways that a pipe can still be carrying flow, even if it's not in perfect shape. So what you'll still need to do is you'll need to camera the pipes, but probably not as often as you are. Most of the cities in Wyoming are putting a camera in their pipes every 3 to 5 years. That's probably more than we need, but most cities are also doing that so that they can find blockages. With this, we'll be finding the blockages using the sound, and then we can back off onto a longer time frame on putting the camera in to look for those structural changes. So we'll know every year that we're getting to the problems, and then we can, pipes don't change that quickly. So if we, with a plastic pipe, a lot of our customers are moving from putting a camera in every 3 years to putting a camera in every 10 years. So that reduces the cost, it reduces the crew time as well. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Councilman Smith?
Could you give us a ballpark figure on, I know we've got all these pipes all over, but what is your price structure?
We charge by the foot, just like if you bring in a contracted cleaner, they will charge between 50 and 70 cents a foot to clean. We charge 18 cents a foot. So the way the economics of this work is every foot of pipe we can take off that cleaning list is going to save like 38 cents or something like that, depending on what you're paying to have things cleaned.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
After I read about it for a while, I'll probably have some.
Absolutely.
Councilman Weisenberg?
So just to kind of touch on Councilman Durst's point and ask, I guess, about it, if there's a partially collapsed or partially broke, that will echo the sound in a different manner. It's kind of, to me, it's like it's an echo meter to me, right? I mean, I work oil and gas, so we use echo meters for fluid levels and blockages and stuff like that. So that'll tell you holes or whatever in the pipe. It just sends a wave out, a different sound that it receives back.
Yeah.
That'll tell you the integrity kind of that pipe in a way.
Yes, the things that it will find on a structural level is if the joints are misaligned, that will mangle the sound.
Yeah.
If there are taps that are sticking in, that'll mangle the sound. Also roots. If the pipe isn't straight, that mangles the sound too. Basically, we've got two ends. One is sending these sounds down the pipe, and the other is listening. And that listening end is comparing what it should have heard if the pipe was completely good to what it actually heard, and that's how it generates the score.
So does it measure, so if you say manhole to manhole, you had 100 feet, does it measure and tell you, say, it made this different sound at 30 feet? So you know approximately what length into that pipe, or is it just a thing, oh, the sound changed and...
Yeah. So it's the second. We won't know where in the pipe the problem is, but what we'll know is, and the beauty of this is it happens really fast and really inexpensively. So in the course of 3 weeks, we would know every pipe. Between this manhole and this manhole, fine. Between this manhole and this manhole, not fine. And then the way most cities approach it is they'll go and clean the pipes that this tells us have a problem. We would come back then the next year to do it again, and we would flag pipes that didn't get better. And that's when we take a camera in, because if we found a pipe that was bad and we cleaned it and it didn't get better, we know that it wasn't just dirty. There's something wrong with the structure of that pipe, and that's when we put the camera in.
All right, thank you.
And then I'd like to make one final note too, if I may, make one final comment on the concept, is that we do own a camera. We do own a sewer camera. and we have staff that know how to operate it in tandem with this. And so you understand the workload. It takes upwards of 8 hours for 2 guys, or anybody, a guy and a gal, like we did last week, to go and take a camera to a line. So it does take quite a bit of staff time to do camera, and this would help us to really focus those city resources on other places where we're able to respond more efficiently.
Vice Mayor Wells?
Would this fit into like our current budget plan?
Currently, I'm not sure where it stands for budget. With Cody's concept, unfortunately, he's out at the moment, but
I guess we would have to determine what the cost would be to have this gentleman come in and help us out, and then we could, if we have budget, we could do it, or if we need more budget, we could come to council and visit with you.
Is there a potential to do like half the city at one time and then half the city the next year?
Yeah, we can do that. One of the things that most of our cities are doing is they want to get a baseline, find out what's going on, and then we can look at the data and say, does the data support doing half and half, or does the data say we probably ought to do this every year? And all of our cities are kind of looking at that as a possibility. I believe Cody was looking at this for next year. We've run out of year as far as the snow is it's gonna start snowing before we could get up here and do this. So that's why I think he wanted me to come and talk to you about this. Because you own your own equipment, it's an internally bookkeeping thing. If you were contracting this out, it almost always pencils out that this way is cheaper. But where you have this internal bookkeeping, you would have to look at that. I will say one other thing. These devices have GPS on them, so we can do some map corrections and map additions. As we go through, every time we do one of these tests, it drops a pin on the GIS map. And then your staff can go and look at that and say, do we want to bring in this data? Do we want to keep our original data? And it all just kind of can flow into your GIS.
Okay. Sounds like a really good concept.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. Sean, do you have more?
I don't.
Staff reports?
Yeah, I think there might be some department heads that gotta.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I wanted to talk briefly about our golf cart situation. Just a quick background. So as you know, City Council budgeted $40,000 in the current fiscal year for golf carts replacement. These funds are currently frozen until Council has an opportunity to receive and review the financial audit that we're waiting on. Council originally budgeted for new golf carts in fiscal year 2021. At that time, our staff was in the process of purchasing new batteries and replacing the windshields on all the carts. So we felt that it was probably not a good time to have that investment and then buy new golf carts the next year. So we wanted to put it off until this next the current fiscal year, so that we had golf carts for next season at the golf course. Our current golf carts are electric carts, and they're from 2013 is their make year, and so they're 9 years old. Talking to people in the industry, they recommend golf carts, if they're electric, be replaced every 4 to 6 years. Our current battery situation on our golf carts is not good. It took a long time to wake them up after the winter this year. We had to do put a lot of extra effort into waking them up. They need to be charged and drained, and then they come back better and better. But we didn't get a lot of play with the cold weather we had. We had to actually manually go in and charge them in the cart barn this year to help them along. And then as we started getting more play, the batteries came around. But at one point, we'd have, for example, a golf cart go out and play 9 holes, and it'd come back with 20% charge left. So that cart wouldn't have made it 18 holes. And at one point, I was concerned that I would have to inform upcoming tournaments that they'd have to limit the number of carts. We have 45 carts at the golf course, and I was prepared to tell tournaments that, hey, you might need to limit to 30 carts. Well, because of our efforts and our great staff resources that we have, we were able to get the batteries bounced back. We had to replace a few batteries, and we're back to the 45 carts running, so we didn't have to cut back any tournaments. Gas carts typically last much longer than that 4 to 6 years. They can last, depending on how well you maintain them, they can last quite a bit longer. They have less maintenance costs, plus you don't have that, $40,000 to $50,000 battery replacement cost every couple of years when you have a gas cart. The other thing is, if we wait much longer, right now we're told that the buyback value of each cart is $1,000. So at 45 carts, that's $45,000, and that's basically that's a wash for 1 year of a lease, of a 5-year lease for our golf carts. So the discussion and the reason, that's a little background. The reason I wanted to come to council tonight is to let you know. So we ordered the golf carts in April. I talked to the company, one of the companies that was out there that I guess submitted some quotes and cost estimates for the carts. So we ordered them in April so that we could have those carts delivered next May at the beginning of the golf season. We do have the opportunity to cancel that order in September, October, and those carts will go to somebody else, and they're good with that. But if we didn't place the order in April, we would have not been able to get carts next summer for play. So what I'm looking for is just some your thoughts from council. I totally understand holding off on the financial audit, see where we are before we unfreeze those funds. I totally am in agreement with that. What I would like to do, however, is start the bid process. It's not an overnight thing. I need to work on all the bid documents, get them over to legal for review, give that time, and then get back here. Then we go out to bid. And that takes a month and a half or so, usually. And then we do a bid opening, and then the following council meeting or two after we have an opportunity to review the bids and make sure they're responsive, then we bring it before council to award the bids. So what I'm really looking for is if any council members have any opposition about me starting the bid process, going out to bid, knowing that one, it's going to be, let's see, where are we, August, September, October. It'll probably be November, late October, before we actually do the bid opening or bring it to council. So that gives time, hopefully, for the audit. That gives time for council to consider that $40,000 if we're going to unfreeze that. Because at that point, if staff or city council doesn't feel comfortable spending that $40,000 for the golf course lease, we're not obligated to do so. We could reject the bids at that point. I'm really just wanting to let council know that I'd like to start the bid process unless you have any questions or concerns about that.
I have one question, and it's for Tom. Will we tell us where we're at time-wise with these audits, if you would, sir?
Sure. The auditors currently have all the account reconciliations for all the general ledger accounts that we have. I have not heard back from them yet on any of their testing procedures where they test those. Once they get started on that, it's about a 3 to 4 week process for them to test, to do their field work, and then prepare the audit report. So I think we're probably a month to 6 weeks maybe on the 2021 fiscal year audit.
Okay, that helps. Knowing that, I don't have any qualms with you putting the bid out, because it doesn't really obligate us to anything. How do you feel, Vice Mayor Wells?
I agree.
Councilman Durst?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't have a problem with it either.
Councilman Smith?
I don't have a problem, Jason, because we can always cancel if we have to.
Councilman Weisenberg?
I agree with every other counselor up here. I just had a couple things I wanted to ask, make sure I kind of heard it right. You've replaced a couple batteries this year, a few batteries. They were under warranty though, correct? Is that how that worked? Because we spent and bought a bunch of batteries last year, correct?
We did.
So it didn't cost us anything on that aspect of things?
It did. It was minimal. The issue we came across is, so it's kind of a long story, but when I came on board, we had just got brand new batteries and they failed horribly and we had to replace them all. And the company actually, I think, credited us, I want to say $15,000 or $20,000. And I think we replaced 4 batteries. It was, they were not thrilled about the warranty situation, and I didn't feel it was worth staff time to dive that far into it for a few $100s is what it comes down to. But
Okay.
and they were right at the edge of the warranty time.
Okay, then the other thing is you'd mentioned a possible lease agreement that would, it sounded like it'd almost be a wash with selling the carts or trading in the carts. It would be like a wash out of, instead of purchasing, we just lease, and it'd be a wash on the no cost to the city pretty much at that point.
So we currently have budgeted $40,000 a year for a 5-year lease, 5 years each year, and we have 45 carts. And so they're right now, in one of the quotes I have, they're quoting $1,000 buyback for our existing carts, so that's $45,000.
Okay.
But I really feel like I'm hoping that the bid process will come in well under 40,000. What the numbers I'm seeing right now are closer to 30, but we got to pad that this day and age. We don't.
That's just per year, though.
So yeah, so out of the 5-year lease, 40,000 each year. If the buyback is $1,000 per 45 carts, that basically washes what I meant to say is one year of the lease is paid for from that buyback.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. All right, thank you.
Councilman Garner,
I'm good with it.
is that what you wanted to know?
That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Alrighty,
Thanks.
thanks.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, I've got for you tonight a couple more fund reconciliations of a couple more funds. We looked at the Impact Assistance Fund at the last meeting. I have for you a reconciliation of the Sixth Penny Fund, the current one. If you want to pass that. So on this, you can see that the current cash balance of the Sixth Penny is just over $2 million. And that's currently where the cash balance stands. The main project that has happened within this has been the Walnut Street. And you could see on the second page detail how much that we've spent on those contractors on the detail of it. And so currently the cash balance is $2 million. We have budgeted in there just over $3 million, and that was a timing difference at the end of the year. We weren't sure which year those expenditures were going to fall into, and so the budget is high in there. So we have about $900,000 more in budget than we have in cash. We would only expend up to the cash amount on projects. So I could answer any questions you may have. The budgeted projects are on the third page, are the projects that we currently have, to do. The cemetery water line is the main one, and then the rest have been pushed back a year or so.
Tom, could you speak to him a little bit about the revenue that comes in each month? And I know we all know that varies a little bit based on the sales tax that comes in.
Yeah,
Can you speak to that one just a little bit?
the budget that we have that was put in was for $400,000 in sales tax revenue. I believe, but based on what we've seen, that the actual revenue may be higher than that each month. But it does fluctuate up and down. So budget-wise, we have $400,000 in there. I think we could, based on current trends, we're looking at at probably 600,000 or a little bit more that we'll actually receive in that sales tax.
So we're not really that far off.
Correct.
And just an observation, so now that we have a pretty good idea, you know, we'll be 2.5 million. We're gonna have to come up with that other potential money to do just to take care of the cemetery water line project. But at least we know kind of where we're at and what we need to try and come up with.
Okay, and then we have currently open a couple prior years, six penny tax that are from prior issues of that. One of those account balances is 41,000 in one fund, and we have roughly 28,000 in a second fund, which all go back to prior years unspent monies from six penny that is not within the current issue. We do have those. We do have budgets associated with those in the current year budget. I don't know if we have a project associated with it, but we do have that appropriated in the budget. So,
Councilman Weisenberg had a question first, and then
Yeah, I was just kind of trying to read through here, and we had talked about maybe doing both the water line and the Washington Street at the same time, if that's the way that the best route is for the cemetery water line. So what's the projection of savings on that to come out of the water line if it's underneath the Washington Street? Because it looks as if it's 3.4 million for Washington Street and a little over $1 million for, so you're looking at 400 or 4.5 million, say, for that whole project. Is that going to be cheaper in the end of that than that 4.5, or with both going at once, if that's the route that we choose?
All right. So with that, in the estimate that was written by WWC, it was over $600,000 in synergy if it were to go in tandem. And if you went against it, it would be an additional $600,000 and a terrible looking road. So if you did Washington after the cemetery water line, that would be ideal.
So you're 4.5, so minus 600, you're 3.9.
Yeah, it's actually 4.18 was the estimate. But you know, you look at things like his pipe price, and it was about $150 a linear foot. But if you look at the bid prices you see with YDOT, and then also other states like Colorado even, where it's higher cost of living, it's not as much as $150 a foot to install. It's closer to $120. So you'll see some savings there, but he's also anticipating inflation.
Yeah.
It's hard to know if inflation is going to slow down or not, but if you are able to do it in tandem, have both Washington, which is on the same alignment as the cemetery water line, you can save probably up to $600,000 at a minimum. And that's just in patching.
Okay, I'm just looking because it looks like the Walnut Street, it was like, what, $250,000 over budget in a way from what was actually proposed at first.
Yeah, I don't have that slip in front of me. Does it say 1.78?
No, it says 1.8, and it come in at total expenditures on this $2,031,000. So
Okay, yeah, so the construction project was the 1.8, and then you had the construction professional services, so that'd be construction management, that would be coffee engineering, and that would be part of that process as well, if I'm not mistaken.
okay, I was just wanting to see. I'm trying to compare what the inflation possibly could be in the end scheme of things too. And that, so. All right,
Yeah,
thank
no,
you.
good question.
was the Walnut Street, would that also, does that also include the sewer that we added on? Because it wasn't proposed to replace the sewer to start with, but when it was found out it was a 60-year-old sewer, so that's part of the reason it went over budget, I'm signature also.
Yes,
correct?
that's including the change order.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Councilman Smith?
Tom, I'd like to ask you about the 41,000 and the 28, which is a total of 69,000. They're from 2 past elections. Have you had an opportunity to look at what was voted on in those 2 proposals, and therefore do you know what we can use those 2 pots of money for?
Yeah, I have not. I just saw that there were remaining funds in those 2 funds, and that's all that I know to report.
Yeah, if we did streets, we could probably look at using some of this for maybe the improvements on the street, or some of the other things that we need to have on this list.
I'll look into that.
Could you do that for us?
Yep, certainly.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Tom? Sean?
Just wanted to comment, I got a preliminary look at some of the reports that Tom is going to start giving to the council and department heads, and I think you will really like them. They'll be great. And I think, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think towards the end of this month was kind of the
Correct. I hope to issue financial reports to you by about the 20th of this month. And most months, I'd like to have those out by the 15th. But I am still trying to put in prior year data so that you could have real good comparisons with prior year, and that's just a time-consuming exercise to put that in. But by about the 20th, I should have out the first financial statement for the month of July.
Boy, that's awesome, Tom, thank you.
And it's just accounting, so as long as you get the report out, don't worry about the accuracy.
Yeah.
Get it out, you're all right.
I don't agree with that.
More important to get the report.
All right, so, is there anything else, Sean? Okay, any other department head? All right, so the next thing we will move on to is city attorney report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. I have the joy of bringing up the large SLIB grant that we are requesting for the $7 million. Historically, you'll remember that we had a slight issue with it on July 19th, so we had the special meeting on the 26th so that we could get the resolution passed. When we were doing the last-minute check to make sure we had our ducks in a row, the resolution was in the wrong format. Substance was great, format was not correct. So today, Andrea found this and she brought it to me. So what I have is the format that SLIB wants to see. The substance is exactly the same as what the council has already approved. It's just this special form that they want it to be on. It says the exact same thing that the resolution said that we approved last week. So that will be for the mayor's signature unless there is some objection.
Does anybody object to that?
Not at all.
Okay.
It's our big grant, the $7 million one, and it's due on Friday, so that's why I brought it in this manner. Normally, I would have it as a separate item to go ahead and review again.
Do you think we need to make a motion to that effect?
It's not my opinion that we do, considering there's nothing substantial that has changed. It's literally the way it looks. It says the exact same words that the other one did.
Okay.
Mayor, I just look at it as an administrative type of thing, and it doesn't include our decision because we've already made the decision.
It changes absolutely nothing that was decided by the council last week. I just wanted to make it clear that there was a different format that they wanted.
Sure.
Also, as you know, we're starting the actual citations for enforcement of water restrictions. I'd like to let the council know that we had a joint meeting between the courts, the police, the public works enforcement, and myself. And we are all on the same page as to how the enforcement is going to be done, how the citations are going to be written. There is still the requirement for a warning prior to a citation, But the people who have already been warned during this period, they have had their warnings. So starting this week, we are reviewing all of the same intakes that we have been getting, whether it's by reports from neighbors, reports from people driving by and seeing it, and other patrols that Public Works are doing, specifically looking for these. If these residences have not been priorly warned, they will not receive a citation immediately. First offense is $300 citation because it's a $250 fine, and then $50 in court costs. So the first offense is $250, the second is $500, and the third is $750. And then you add $50 to that for court costs for each offense level. So that is going into effect. Some people have already received their warnings, and we have a record-keeping system for those warnings so that we have the proof of those. So we did get training. We are on the same page, and that is moving forward.
Perfect.
That's all I have right now, unless anyone has anything for me.
Nope. Thank you, Wendy. All right, next thing on our agenda is direction from City Council to City Manager or City Attorney. Does anybody have anything they would like to address? Councilman Durst?
So I guess, Sean, I just have a question. I'm just looking for information. So I know that we have a few homes like out on Cherokee Road or just right on the edge of town that they have a city tap, but they're not necessarily in the city limits. So my question is, on those people, when they have the city taps, by design, do we intend to charge them the sewer, recycling, and then the landfill fees on those people? And then, I guess the second question to that, depending on how the answer will go, is are they allowed to dump at our landfill? And if not, is that really a wise choice? If that makes sense. And so I'm just trying to understand what should be, right? Because
yeah, I will probably need to just double check. Look at one of those individuals and see what's on their bill. I don't want to misspeak right now without checking. But I believe that each of those, whoever has a tap, is going to be charged our city services. It's just a different rate that they're charged.
Okay, because it sounds like it's not being applied the same to all the places out there. So that's part of what has brought this. One person's being charged, one person's not, and now there's some more things to it, but I mean, we don't need to get into details of it, but.
Maybe you and I could dig into it a little bit with more.
I can probably come and see you this week and maybe give you some more specific details to go into without running it all over the public airways.
Sounds good. I'd be happy to look at that with you.
Okay, that sounds great. And then I guess I'm just gonna keep talking for a second if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, that's fine.
So rolling back to the parade thing, I personally wouldn't want to see it come to the council. I think the process seems to be good. All I would request is some way to notify the affected parties along any closure route, whatever it is. That's whatever that process looks like, whatever you I don't want to add complications, just as simple of a thing, however that needs to work. That would be my request, so that if it's closed from X to Y, everybody within that closure will get notification within some period of time of acceptance of the closure, and that's it. That's as far as complicated as I would like to see it get.
I on that subject, there's a few little tweaks on that application form too that I'd like to see happen. So probably, Sean, just make the changes that you're aware of, bring it to us for approval, and we'll go from there. But I concur. I don't think we need to approve all those. I think staff can. Does everybody feel that way or not? Yes. Any objection to that? Okay. Councilman Smith.
I'll just say that I think the procedure has been working, and with a few tweaks and things, that I don't want to make a big deal out of it, but I think it is nice to notify the businesses. Then the second thing that I wanted to say is on the Cherokee Ranch area water, I think I have seen in the past an ordinance that addresses when there were two times. The first time that they were going to allow them to be hooked up to city water, And then there was some kind of, I don't know, amendment or some kind of explanation on what they could do with that water. So it's quite a few years back, but I did remember seeing it. So there should be an ordinance or something on that, or resolution or something. I just saw it when I was looking for something else.
Councilman Martinez?
And the other thing is that we have people out there that are on a well. And then we have the people that ask to be, to receive city water. During the time that they came before us, they also talked about wanting to come into the city limits. It sounded like a lot of people out at Cherokee didn't want to. But anyway, what came out of it was that we charged a little extra on the water tap because they're outside the city limits. And I think that we also charge for the services. I mean, we have maintenance and stuff if they had a water break out there, things of that nature. But I think it's all in that ordinance. Yeah, should be.
We'll see you at 8:30 tomorrow morning. We'll have it ready.
Is there anything else?
Just as a clarification, sorry. So the application, would you like me to maybe send it to council and maybe any feedback that you have on it, kind of go about it that way? Or maybe I can make this one fix, I kind of have an idea of what to do to help this situation really easily.
There was one other clause in there that you can't throw candy out. And everybody does and has for years, even after that. But it wasn't an ordinance and it wasn't anything. It was just on that application form for the parade. So maybe change that to where my idea is the driver of the vehicle should not be throwing candy out. They should be watching for children running after the candy. Maybe make that change also when you bring it back for approval.
Okay. And the council would like that back to kind of look at it and approve?
I think we'd like to look at that application form and approve it or not.
All right, I will do that.
And
I'll bring it back.
Councilman Weisenberg was next, sorry.
Yeah, Sean, I just want to say thanks for the update on the water, for one, and the revenue streams, or the amount. I just wanted to, I should have asked earlier when you were talking about it, and this might be a question for Tom, but if I did the math right, or just an estimated, are we looking to see a lost revenue of 152,000 or so from the restrictions? Is that kind of what I'm looking at there?
Is that what you presented?
I'm just trying to get a idea, and I just ran these so everybody's aware. I ran it from April to August on these revenue streams is all.
I'll just say one more comment, and Tom might have a better answer than me, but I think that that's not unrealistic at all, what you're saying. I think that's very possible.
That
sort of
I
number.
did kind of the math too, and that's
Yeah.
really close to what I came up with
And
too.
like I said, I just went April to August on those, right? And that's off of a 5-year average compared to what we have seen, and I know some of this is estimated out for this year, right?
Yeah.
Some of the months, but, okay. I just want to double check and make sure I'm seeing that right too.
I thought it would be more.
I did too, and I was thinking the same. Like I'm happy it's not as much as what it could have been, I guess. But you can see in there from some of the months already that has went by that there is some excessive use going on, and I just want to speak to the citizens at that point and say, everybody has to take part in this and help out and think of everybody's neighbor. And without water, we can't have the town or the city of Rawlins, and just be grateful we got the source we have right now. And we are working diligently as a city and as a council together to repair these problems. So just work with us, please. Help out, help your neighbors out, and everything else.
Thank you. Councilman Smith?
Yes, going back to his question of loss of revenue. that means at some point in time, we may be in the red on the enterprise fund. So that, with that said, I know that we're looking at what we have to do to look at fee changes. And so I was just worried if we were that in arrears, if we were going to go into the red in that account.
So one thought too is with the water rate increases that the council's going to be considering in the near future here.
Thank you.
I think the potential rate increases will make up the difference of loss this year.
All right. Are we done? Any, Councilman, I'm sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
forgot you had your hand
No,
up.
no, you're fine.
Councilman Durst.
To run along the candy thing, like I get it, I would love to be able to throw candy. The only thing I would say is, let's burden Wendy with some more illegal crap. Just double check, because one of the things on that, and I don't know if it's in an ordinance or if it's just on the parade application, but like in Pocatello, they threw a Frisbee and the guy catch it and ran through a plate glass window downtown building. So that's one of the reasons that they canceled the candy throwing, is because if they what I'm getting to in a very overly complicated way is, let's just make sure if there's a way that we need to say drivers can't throw candy, only people in the back, so that if we can do it, but within a legal parameter, so that's all. Like I said, that's the biggest reason those have gotten canceled, is because.
Sure. Well, and some
I don't know what's the chicken
some
and
towns don't allow it at all. I think it has to do with, width of the street and et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
The other thing is really, it's a safety issue when the driver's distracted, and so the children run out to get the candy. And so a lot of places restrict the driver from throwing the candy so that they're not, looking down, getting candy when there's a child running out, that sort of thing.
And I think that's great.
So, anyway, you know what to do. All right.
That's all, I'm done. Thank
All
you.
right. So I'm going to call for a 15-minute recess, and we'll resume with unfinished business.
Like the Loyal Order of Riders, denied.
Huh? Denied.
We are staying live with sound during the recess.
Yeah. This is for Mike, the driver, right?
Yes.
When they figured an increase on that water, is that based on them not able to use the water, or is that figured on when we have an average year?
I think an average year.
I hope so, because.
Me too. Well, we'll have to.
Because we're gonna be asking for more if they figure it on this year's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you can't use this year. It's an odd one.
Yeah.
Or we have huge increases.
Yeah. That interesting.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
I don't know what she's, what her capacity is. She's a preacher's
Okay.
Yeah, I just went.
Maybe they're gonna
Okay.
talk to us about, maybe,
All right.
I was thinking of the Presbyterian church thing.
No, she's with the Chapel Creek Church. There's church on 12th. Her husband's a preacher there, but she, I don't remember what her official capacity is. I should know. Shame on me, but I don't.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the. Of course, I heard that you scared the crap out of me. You come out there, grab me by the legs, and I
Well, obviously, running out into a parade isn't what anybody wants to see anybody doing, so. I was trying to see so that Michael would see what he could see.
a karate chop or something.
It might have been entertaining.
Yeah, my dad.
As long as somebody had it on camera.
It's right there by the distance. I did, and it's right there.
Oh,
I think so. Check and make sure. I want to explain something to you about the parade. I made the signs. Somebody else got the decorations. It's good for you, Chris and myself. We raised about 100% of the person. So, I just want you to know that.
There's always a problem. Announce a new stuff.
Wish my building would stay as cool as it is in here.
No, it's so heated, hot over there.
Oh my God. It's so brutal. By the end of the day, it'll be 90 degrees inside that building.
Oh, and your
My head
your
is just,
building?
at the store
Oh, yeah.
on these super hot days.
Oh, it's pretty hard to cool that down, though. But you had a big old compressor, then the cost would be so.
No, but the headache is pretty maddening as well.
See, my house.
Just sitting in there all day long, it's just hard.
I have air at my house, and when they put that compressor, the guy told me we don't have a smaller one. This is what we're going to give you, and it's going to be way too much for your house. So if you get that sucker at 40, you're getting.
You're really getting it.
Oh man! And then my basement's cold anyway, so whatever leaks out in my basement doubles the.
Definitely cold, huh?
And it's expensive. It's expensive to do this. You really see how electric is.
Oh yeah. No, and we got lucky because our house has air conditioning.
Yeah.
And without it, I'd be dead. But none of the windows open. Like the entire front of the house, they're all solid pane windows. Nothing opens. So you can't even open it up and get that evening air. You know what
Well,
I mean?
I had new windows
So
put
without
in
the
so I
air,
could open them, but even with opening them, that heat. I mean, if she's gonna run I tell her, if you're gonna run the air conditioner, you gotta keep the windows open.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, the cold's going out, the compressor keeps running.
That's right. That's right.
But she don't figure that out. And I let her control, so she'll shut it down. I know, everybody needs my puppy. She turns it on, and it gets cold, and then she shuts it off. And that compressor going up and down like that is costly.
Sure it
You gotta
is.
leave it
Yeah.
at I just set it at 70.
Just set it and let the machine do its thing.
Set it
Yep.
at 70, and it'll do its thing.
Just like in the winter, right? You just let that furnace
Well,
run.
I
when
don't
it wants
count
to
her
run.
nothing. She runs the whole show there in that house. I go downstairs if it's too hot.
Yeah, that's always been my hideaway as well.
In the basement.
My son's gonna have to rethink his time to go running.
I had a gentleman call me for what you guys are saying. What are you guys saying? I said, well, you can get on the computer and that. He said, yeah, but if you say something about whatever subject, it used to be when I was started, we had a newspaper. And the newspaper would be sitting there. They would come out, Martinez said this.
Sure.
People would either eat your lunch or they like you. Now we don't get anything. They don't know.
Right. It's hard, huh? I know.
So how do we get that out to the public what we're doing as
Well, the hardest part is that here the public actually has to kind of participate and go get it as well. It's not just going to be in the newspaper or, I mean, right now it's not just going to be on the radio, right? Just
But they don't.
the
We haven't been
snippets.
getting
So
that on the radio.
that's what I mean. So unless somebody's willing to go look a little bit and put some effort to it.
Since Cali left, forget it. We don't get nothing.
With no newspaper, it's really handicapped us. Because like the Barry says, somebody says something to you, you bring it up on the floor to represent them. Nothing happens, and they don't know you even tried.
They don't even know we care about the product.
Right. I did, by the way. I did. I made the signs. Chris and I. There was no city money spent. And I just, there was 2 gallons of gas a gallon. I didn't say that, I just let her know that all that was paid for. And I should have done it when she was supposed to, but I will not be with, but it's a good deal now. As we get closer to
I know, I just can't believe that. Well, part of it, you know who I'm talking about.
That's on the gun range.
Yeah.
I talked to him too. He was yelling.
Did he ever retire?
No, I didn't. I was sitting there, she went, he came in and talked to the clerk, started chewing her.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
She's just a clerk, so I looked up at him and I said, let me tell you something. I says, I don't know why you feel threatened about that. I got the same letter, and I didn't feel threatened.
What about the fine?
Oh, no. He was mad about shooting. He can't.
I was not happy with the way we handled it, but that wasn't my list that we picked. I had the guy with the beard that worked at the bank, because he'd been in there for a long time. I think we should have stayed on that board.
Sure, but here's the same thing that I told him. So then we're the same as everybody else, because now we only elect the middle boys that are part of it forever. So as long as they've been part of it, that's the only person that well, that's, I mean, this is sort of, I was just curious if you had.
My pick was just the guy that I talked to the board.
I didn't tell a couple of you about that. Like I explained, it's a worse job. Just because you're not on the board, you can't participate.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, guy that was upset about it. Yeah, you're upset about the water bill.
Okay, no, that was.
On our clerk.
All right, I will call this meeting back to order. I will call this meeting back to order, and the next thing on the agenda is new business. So payroll, Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to approve the July 3rd, 2022 through July 16th, 2022 payroll register for $268,096.14.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the July 3rd, 2022 through July 16, 2022 payroll register for $268,096.14. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open.
Just so you know, I kind of like your new voice. You poor thing.
Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
That didn't make it weird.
Yeah. Awkward. Okay. Next thing on our agenda is accounts payable. Councilman Smith.
I move to approve the accounts payable register for the period of July 7th, 2022 to July 20th, 2022 in the amount of $350,638.01.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the accounts payable register for the period of July 7th, 2022 to July 20th, 2022 in the amount of $350,638.01. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All righty, thank you. The next thing on our agenda is to approve a correction on the pay plan. Councilman Garner?
I move to approve the corrected version of the fiscal year 2022 to 2023 salary pay plan that was approved on June 21st, 2022 at the City Council meeting.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the corrected version of the fiscal year 2022-23 salary pay plan that was approved on June 21st, 2022 at the City Council meeting. Is there any discussion? Would you like to explain, Stephanie?
So it's just a simple, we found a mistake that I had made. I had put in, under the landfill operator positions, I had put them in at the wrong numbers, the wrong salary grades, so we have corrected that. They made it known to me, which was great. Glad I have lots of people to watch out for me and make sure I do things right, so.
And does that affect the bottom line, or?
It doesn't. It just goes back to how it was originally in the 2021 approved plan. When we put this for proposal, I had mistyped it. So it didn't affect anything financially. It just was my mistake. But since it's approved by you, we have to bring it back to you for that correction.
Is there any questions? Please open online voting. Thank you, Stephanie.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All righty, thank you. The next thing is a resolution. Vice Mayor Wells. I'm sorry,
That's okay.
she had her hand up first.
I move to approve the total of $739,792.74 in the ARPA funding from the federal government passed through the state of Wyoming and depositing the full amount into the City of Rawlins, Wyoming General Fund.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the total of $739,792.74 in the ARPA funding from the federal government passed through the state of Wyoming, depositing the full amount into the City of Rawlins, Wyoming General Fund. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting is closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All right, the next thing on our agenda is a resolution approving amending resolution number 7B 2015. Do I have a motion, Vice Mayor Wells?
I move to approve the resolution amending resolution number 7B 2015 fees, finance, water, sewer, and utilities, Appendix E, page 2 of 2, recycling utility fixed rate and changing the monthly fixed rate charge to residents from $3 to $6.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the resolution amending resolution number 7B 2015 fees, finance, water, sewer, and utilities, Appendix E, page 2 of 2, recycling utility fixed rate and changing the monthly fixed rate charge to residents from $3 to $6. Is there any discussion?
If I may clarify.
Yes, Wendy.
This is the same resolution that the council has already seen. When we presented it before, it was an ordinance, it went through 3 readings, and it was approved. And then I discovered that I was very abundantly cautious because it only needed to be a resolution, not an ordinance. So this is me repairing that. Since, again, no change to substance, it just changes from an ordinance to a resolution. And my apologies.
Okay.
So that means that in the future, we don't have to have 3 readings to raise the fees, is that correct?
That is correct, it's by resolution.
And because it's a resolution, incoming council members that are elected don't have to accept the resolution. They can change it anytime they want.
The council as a whole can.
The council can. Okay.
Any other discussion? Councilman Weisenberg?
So everybody understands and knows my philosophy or my thoughts on this anyways. I shouldn't have to repeat it. Everybody knows I'm gonna vote no on this. But I do want everybody to understand when I said we're giving less for more, I was serious about that, and I want something done about that if we can do something, right? It was discussed about a secured area. People think about, if it's secured, they won't dump the garbage in and stuff like that. The residents on the south side, they drive all the way over. The residents on the Mountain View side have to drive all the way to the recycling center. It's not a big town, I get it, but I think we need to offer something of such over there. I think maybe if we can look at a section of the fire department's lot for Fire Station 2 over there. It's a secured area. It wouldn't take up much of their area. We could put it in a corner there where it was secured, cameraed, or whatever we needed to do to kind of do that for those residents. I think it'd be a great idea there, but I really want something done to allow residents to be able to utilize that.
I'm sorry, what's the council's thoughts on that or direction?
Councilman Martinez?
My first thought was where they had it was a problem, because the one time that I went there, they had garbage bags in there and whatever, so they were mixing it all up. I think that if we could find a secure place like Councilmember Weisenberger mentioned, I wouldn't have any problem with it, providing that it didn't interfere with the fire department or their trucks going in and out of there. So I agree that if we could get that program back, I would agree with that. That's my feeling about it.
Councilman Wells? Or Vice Mayor Wells, sorry. What's your thoughts?
I don't know, I'm kind of 50-50 on the issue. I can see both sides.
Well, I guess in the end, I mean, I could support trying to find a way, but to me, it would be a very low priority. I mean, in the end, the reason that they got pulled was because people were abusing it, and it's costing 3 times as much time and energy from staff to have to go and clean it and fix it. So, if you can find a low-cost solution, I think that would be great. But I don't know that I would bend over backwards to do it. I mean, of all the things going on, maybe this is in 5 years we come back and address that, or 3 or 4. I would put it as a low priority. If you can solve it, great, but.
Councilman Smith?
Well, generally with recycling, you can do so much with a programmatic type of situation. In other words, take a look at it. Maybe there's lots of things that we can do, but it is a low priority in the scheme of what we're looking at overall. And so I'm sort of like Vice Mayor Wells, I'm 50-50, but I do think that there's some things that we can look at and kind of beef up our recycling programs or education or something like that.
Councilman Garner?
I like the idea. If we can find a secure spot, and with the rates going up, we'll have a little money to put to it. But I don't know if it's a high priority, but I think it'd be great to see the availability everywhere in town.
And myself, I know that in visiting with the report we got last meeting, I think it was, that the recycling is actually up, not down. So people are still recycling, and where the recycling center is kind of on the way to the food stores, if you will. I think if we can accommodate them, get them in a, I don't know how we would secure that exactly. I don't know if there's cameras where we're at the South Fire Station and stuff like that, but I guess if we could without a lot of work, but I'm like Councilman Durst, it's way low priority to me. So.
Is the rate up because the haulers are now taking their recycling to the center. If I understand correctly, all the recycling that Dirty Boys used to haul to their own facility now goes to your facility. Is that why our rate is up?
I understood it that it's up because we needed to raise it to get to even, and we raised it a hair more than that, but that's to get out of the crisis management mode, so that when the equipment's wore out, we have the money to buy it back. And I'll give you an example, like if you have a semi truck and trailer operation and you don't put 25 cents a mile away, pretty soon your truck's wore out and you don't have the money to replace the truck. And that's kind of why it was raised the way I understood it.
Sorry, I misspoke. I didn't mean the rate raised, but just the amount of cardboard coming in.
The increase in recycling.
Increase of the recycling coming in.
I have no idea what
I thought
caused
that's
that.
what he was talking about last time. I might be mistaken.
Well,
So,
and
I'm just curious.
Yeah, the recycling has increased the amount that's been coming in.
Okay. So we still have the same amount everywhere. They just have that extra increase because that hauler. So if we still spread it out across town, it would still be, it sounds like it'd still be a benefit for those areas without the recycling bins now. So if we could get them back, it'd be a good thing.
Any further discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 5 yeas and 2 nays. Councilmember Martinez and Councilmember Weisenberg voted nay.
Okay, thank you. The next thing on the agenda is to ratify approve a ratification. Councilman Garner?
Oh, sorry, hold on just a second. Yeah. I move to approve the ratification of the Wyoming Department of Transportation ARPA grant request of the amount of $242,946.08 for replacement of the dispatch console radios, officer patrol car radios, and officer portable radios for the fiscal year 2022 to 2023.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded to approve the ratification of Wyoming Department of Transportation ARPA grant request, the amount of $242,946.08 for replacement of dispatch console radios, officer patrol car radios, and officer portable radios for fiscal year 2022-23. Is there any discussion? Chief Ward, would you tell us what's going on?
So this is an American Rescue Plan Act grant through the Wyoming Department of Transportation. Our mobile and portable radios are about 8 years old. End of life for them is 8 to 10 years. We had sought to use impact funds to replace them, but we weren't able to do so. This is a potential expenditure that the city is going to have to be responsible for in the near future. This grant would accomplish that now. There's no matching of any funds. It would cost us very generally in a ballpark of about $8,000 to replace the mobile radios out of the cars. But otherwise, there's no other funds that would be needed from the city, and that $8,000 obviously would also have to be spent if we bought the radios ourselves in the future.
And is this grant, what's the probability of us getting this grant?
Hard to say. I don't know if Andrea's still here. She's not. I know that Andrea said that, and I didn't write it, which is probably why it was very well written, she said. So I know that our application is strong. I know that it supports the direction the state is going with the different radio systems, and it's in line with what the state is doing as well. Whether every jurisdiction in the state is putting in for this grant, I can't say. I hope that it's a good chance.
So we meet all the requirements, it sounds like. Our radios are that age, and so.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Any questions? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Open online voting, please.
Online voting is open. Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you. Next thing on our agenda is an executive session. Vice Mayor Wells.
I move to go into executive session at 9:16 PM per Wyoming Statute 16-405 to consider or receive any information classified as confidential by law, and to consider the appointment, employment, right to practice, or dismissal of a public officer, professional person, or employee, or hear complaints or charges brought against an employee, professional person, or officer, unless the employee, professional person, or officer requests a public hearing. The governing body may exclude from any public or private hearing during the examination of a witness any or all other witnesses in the matter being investigated. Following the hearing or executive session, the governing body may deliberate on its decision in executive session.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, there's been a motion made and seconded to go into executive session at 9:16. Any discussion? Please open online voting.
Online voting is open. Councilmember Martinez.
I was thinking of something else.
He was thinking.
Oh, that's all right. It smells like smoke over here.
Online voting has closed. The motion passes with 7 yeas.